Hey guys, I'm John Barklow, and today I want to talk to you about snake bites. Now, years ago, I had a friend down in Florida get bit by a rattlesnake. And when I got to see him in the hospital the next day, I was shocked. He was shaking uncontrollably, he was twitching, and he was so swollen, I almost didn't recognize him. Now, I've also seen water moccasins and cottonmouths bite my buddy's boots as we're hiking into tree stands in the swamps of North Carolina. And I've certainly, unfortunately, almost stepped on rattlers out on the prairie when I'm antelope hunting. So when we're hunting, snakes have to be front of mind. Now, just like us, when we're most active during the early mornings and at dusk, and we kind of seek shelter in the middle of the day, that's what a lot of these snakes are doing. And so when they're out moving around, we're out moving around. And so we just need to be cautious and be a little aware of our surroundings, situationally aware. And by being situationally aware, we want to make sure that if we do sit down in that rock pile, the glass, that we may be sitting down with snakes, or that if we go canoeing down that slough in the swamp and we pull in under the brush to pull our canoe up out of the water, that water moccasin may be there. And so understanding what to do if we're bit by a snake is going to go a long ways in helping us kind of stay safe and healthy when we're out there. Now, much easier said than done, but the first thing to do if you are bit or your partner's bit is you want to stay calm. Now, I'm not so sure I would have the easiest way of staying calm because I'm not a big fan of snakes. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I'd rather deal with a grizzly bear than a snake. But nonetheless, the reason you want to stay calm is because if it's a poisonous snake and if they have envenomated you, that you don't want to rush that venom through your blood any quicker than it's already going to circulate. Also, getting a little crazy and out of your mind isn't going to do anything to kind of help the situation. And so staying calm is the first thing we want to do. Now, the next thing is we want to make sure that we remove anything that's restrictive. So that could be rings, that could be watches, even tight socks, something like that, because there's a good chance, at least at the site of the bite, that you're going to swell. And like I said, my friend in Florida, his entire body swelled up. Now, some of that apparently was due to the anti-venom they provided him, but it is dramatic how quickly the site of the wound can swell up. And so you want to make sure that you don't have any constrictions with clothing or jewelry or watches. The next thing is the old wives' tale about trying to cut between the two fang marks and suck out venom and anything like that. That is just total bunk. You do not want to do that. You want to treat this site of the bite like any other kind of wound. You want to try to clean the wound. You want to dress the wound. You want to try to immobilize the wound if possible. So what does that mean? You don't want to sit there and immobilize somebody's calf, their entire leg, because they got bit in the calf. But if I was, say, bit in my forearm, you could immobilize my arm like this so that I'm not moving it around, again, trying to treat it like a wound. The other thing is, if possible, you want to try to keep the bite area below your heart level. Why is that? Again, just to try to stop the venom from circulating any quicker through your system. The one thing you do not need to do is you do not need to go out and try to kill the snake. You don't even really need to even identify the snake. The chances are by the time you get evac'd to higher medical care, be it a hospital or some type of urgent care, they're not going to want to look at the snake. They're not a snake expert. And honestly, what I've come to find out is it doesn't really matter. If you were bit by a snake and they have anti-venom, they're going to apply it. But it's important to know that not every hospital is going to carry anti-venom. And so you may get to some place and they may have to then transfer you, or they may sit there and decide to treat it a different way. The biggest thing when you're bit in the field, besides staying calm, besides treating the wound, is you want to evac that person as quickly and as calmly as possible out of the field. Now, again, Easier said than done. Ideally, you would be in a hospital within 30 minutes. That is probably not going to happen when we're in the backcountry hunting, but you have to understand that within 2 to 3 days, if you're not evac'd out of the field for whatever reason, be it weather, you can't get a hold of somebody, you're not ambulatory, that severe organ damage can start to occur depending on the snake and the amount of venom. So it's really important, again, to be situationally aware, to understand what to do if you're bit. The best thing to do is just avoidance. Don't go into areas that you know that a snake could be in, say a big rock pile in the heat of the day, and you want to sit in glass on that rock pile. Maybe go 50 yards to the left or right of that and set up your tarp and get out of the sun that way in glass. So the best thing to do is just be situationally aware, stay calm, understand what to do if you are bit, but ultimately the best thing to do is avoidance.